This is it, guys. This moment, this presence, this space is what you are. And I want you to integrate the idea of you, what you think about yourself, your name, because there is no separation. I can say this presence or this space, but really what I'm pointing to is the recognition of wholeness, of what you're really longing for, of what you really want. And it's this: when there is no time, no concepts, no knowledge, no ignorance. There's just a knowing, right? Awareness of what you conceive yourself to be. And then when you conceive everything, the appearances that are showing up to be here, that's the only thing that this is. And what this is you as appearance, you as imagination. Because if you were to remove all the concepts and ideas, there would still be appearances. You still have to play in the world of duality, of Maya, of mind. This is how we function and interact with the world. It's a full circle to come to understand what you are, because otherwise you wouldn't have this experience. And so this moment right now is what you are as wholeness, the body, the appearances, objects, others, thoughts, sensations, sounds, right? Movements, anything that you know. There's a knowing and the knower, and they're not two separate things. They are one thing experiencing itself. This field, this undivided field, is experiencing itself as itself. It's imagination. And so you're imagining all of your problems or all of your desires and wishes. You're also pretending to be dreaming of all of your problems, insecurities. There's no way around this. You see, it's the paradox. It's why it can't make sense. Even when we have the recognition of like, oh wait, I created all of it? Yeah. Because that's the way you wake up. You see, awareness wakes up to itself. Imagination realizes that it's imagining, but then we want to control it, right? We want to control this imagination, but we just imagine this separate controller. You see, what you want to dissolve is this separate experiencer. There isn't a separate experiencer and experience. There is only experience. Impersonal, right? There could be, you can pretend to be a person or a personal side, but that is what we call suffering. That's samsara. That's your desires, your cravings, the journey of becoming, where all you want is to rest. And so this is you, and you have to accept it. You have to integrate it. I mean, it's already integrated. It's already there. You see, the resistance to what is, to the resistance to what is appearing, is the suffering. And that's just a little faulty mode in the mind, which is the resistance. It has to be there because otherwise you couldn't recognize what you are, which we could say is acceptance. Acceptance to every moment, especially the things you don't like. And it's not really you, it's the mind. But it needs to be that way so that you can recognize yourself as this moment right here, right now, regardless of what's here, what's not here, what's happening, what's not, what is happening, what you think, what you don't think, what you know, the knowing itself, it's all the same thing. It's wholeness experiencing itself, imagination imagining itself, pretending. And when you come to this recognition, at first it's frustrating. It's like, why? Which is the mind trying to get it once again. And it can never get this. It can never put a finger on awareness because it's awareness itself, but in a limited form. And if we explore a little bit of why it seems like there are two, where there's really just one thing experiencing itself as that one thing, you're looking yourself in the mirror. There's a reflection. You know there isn't a separate you in the reflection. There's only you looking at yourself. But it appears to be as two. But you know, oh, that's just a reflection. I'm here. There's no one else here in the room. There's just a reflection as me, but I'm here. That's exactly the ignorance that we're talking about. It appears to be two, but it's actually just one. And so in that moment, you recognize yourself to be only one undivided field, but it appears to be two. And so now I want you to recognize that all of your resistances, problems, desires, fears, insecurities, the idea that I'm in the body as the body, separate from what I'm looking at, is the reflection. You are perceiving everything. If you're perceiving it, it can't be you. Even the more subtle part of I'm the body looking out through these eyes, that's not even true because you're still perceiving that. And because somehow the mind wants to grasp it, it just can't stop. It can't help itself. It says like, okay, but where am I located? I need a ground. I need to stand. I need to get something so that I can validate and justify this whole thing. It needs a reason. It only works in intellect and in concepts. But when you remove the body and this, where you can say the I, which is really just the witness consciousness, you remove the I, you remove this, like this moment, presence, all the concepts, go beyond concepts. You're still there. You still remain. There's only just this one undivided field, which is you. And it doesn't need to be understood because any understanding, you would perceive that. It would arise within you. Everything is appearing inside of you as you in awareness. Now, it may feel that you are separate from your experience. And that's part of it because awareness needs to imagine itself as something, to know itself, to wake up to itself. And so the only thing left here to do is to rest in that wholeness, to rest, to relax, to accept what you are. There is no you that has any problems. There is no you that is separate from what is appearing. And it is those resistances to things, to experience, to your beliefs that are creating the tension, the suffering that puts you on a journey to a future moment where you're going to feel better, where you can say, I can relax now. This is it. But that's never going to come because it doesn't exist. There's only this. Everything else is just imagine. You may want to take control of the dream. You may want to imagine something, but just keep in mind that that's imagination. What you are is where imagination is appearing in this. You need to ground yourself in this before you want to go out and play, because that's where attachment, that's where, again, becoming, you get immersed into the play and you forget that it's not real, that it's just how awareness is imagining itself as something, as someone, but it never becomes that. Again, if we go back to the example of the mirror, there's not an experiencer, an experience. There's just experience. And that's really what you long for. That's really what you want. You're not looking actually to feel better. You're looking to recognize that you are whole and always come from that standpoint. And anything else is just going to make you feel separate. Separation is only really a concept. And then it's, again, the identification with the mind that will naturally want to take ownership of this experience to ground itself, to say, I got it. But that's not really what you're longing for. What you're longing for is this rest, this presence, this wholeness. Everything will appear to be separate, but ultimately you just know that it's a reflection and there's nothing to resist, only to accept, only to include. Any resistance is simply just the mind saying no to the moment, which will make you suffer because there is only yes. You can't separate yourself from this. You are this. You are the source of it. And I really want you to see that. Not that you need to see it, right? Because there isn't someone here, even if thought says, okay, yes, but I am still here. Okay, it's appearing in you. You perceive it. I don't need to get it. I am it. This I that thinks that he needs to get it is part of the imagination. It's almost like a recognition of this conditioning of these things that we have to let go of. The very need, the very want actually puts us away from what is already here and really allows us to observe this mechanism, the mind and its tendencies and its karmas, which really have to unravel and undo. But we can always recognize that we're simply just perceiving it. If I'm perceiving it, it's not me. And what I am, what I consider me to be, is all of this. And there's nothing separate from me. Really feel that too, not as a separate experiencer. I mean, this whole language, the paradox with language is like, I'm saying there is no separate me, but yet I appear here. And I'm saying these words and I'm trying to point to something. Imagination is experiencing itself as imagination. It's not two things, it's one thing. The wave in the ocean, the cloud in the sky, the mirror in the reflection, the screen in the movie experience, experiencing itself as one.